people are stubborn. I mean, I like the way, one of the brothers said that, they just, I mean, the level of stupidity. I mean, the level of stupidity is beyond comprehension, to be very honest and fair. I mean, you believe this man, although you didn't even know him. You didn't even know who he was. How many people who are in the Jamaat today, who are in that community today, actually met him and traveled with him? Not went to him in the last 10 years, like when he was just, locked up in his quarters and, you got to see him when everybody else came out and sung to him. Not that type of knowing, no. We're talking about how many people actually, lived with him and traveled with him when he used to actually travel. Not a whole lot of people. Not a whole lot of people in that Jamaat are still able to say that about him. And as a matter of fact, anyone in their 40s who has not traveled to Pakistan to even eat with him cannot even say that they know him. But y'all are over here singing like, y'all are so much in love with him, as if that is your ticket to Jannah. Like that's your safe passage into Jannah. And that's where you're wrong.
Right.
So I think, again, what they claim to him, again, he's the Mujaddid of the century. He is of the Prophet's, lineage. He is also, the one responsible for all of the jihads going on in the world. He, what else did he do? Let me think. He moved the moon. Well, he's not splitting. He didn't split the moon, but he moved the moon. He's taken some of our people all the way to the gates of Jannah just to show them that he was the real one, And, he's also a Sufi Qadri order, and, he's taught us the White Hawk. I mean, if you know about that. I mean, he's brought us out of the cities and into the country where we can really, live our deen. And, those Muslims in the cities, we're doing a whole lot better than them. I mean, the list goes on and on. The list goes on and on and on as to what it is that you're crediting to him. He saved all of our lives. He bought all of these lands that we have now with his own money.
Right.
I mean, the list, and we owe him all of our lives, and our children owe it to him, and our children's children owe it to him. Where is the obedience to Allah, Allah Jalla Jalaluhu? Where is the real example of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam? Because in the White Hawk, I read it in English. I got it from his own book that he compiled, Futuhu Muhammadiyah, not the second one, but the first one, the original one. And in that book itself, the way they're celebrating just like non-Muslims. They're not celebrating like Prophet and his companions. What we're reading in how the Prophet ﷺ and his companions, how they did, this man at the court of Prophet, man, I'm just wondering, how do you be at the court of Prophet? You claim to be at the court of the Prophet ﷺ with other prophets there, and you're intoxicated. You're calling for a cup of wine, and you tell your troops to come on and drink from your wine. But the whole time Prophet is just standing there, and the other prophets too, like they're being ignored, and you and your wine is having a blast, man. And then you say something about getting dressed up in a robe of flowers and stuff, man. None of that was of their way. So now I understand why they didn't do anything. They just stood there looking at you like you were a dummy or something. Like, what's wrong with you? You see what I'm saying? There's no obedience, no remembrance, no true, connection of submissiveness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in that poem. It's a strange reality and how people, can give up contemplating about Allah and Allah alone, reflecting upon the word of Allah and Allah alone. How people can give that up. How people can give up seeking intercession with Allah Jalla Jalaluhu through his attributes. Because he says that, be conscious of me and take my attributes as intercessors to me. اتقوا الله وابتغوا إليه الوسيلة and وجاهدوا في سبيله. You know, and be in the path of Allah Jalla Jalaluhu. How you can leave all of that and you take something that you don't even know. You don't know where it came from. You don't know that he was picked out of Oxford, the British University, with his psychology degree. You don't know that?
That I didn't know.
I mean, a strange situation. I mean, a lot of people do not understand what it is that he actually studied. Psychology major, this man. You know, from not from Pakistan, not from India, but from the British University. I mean, he had his connection. He had enough time to make enough connections while he was at university in Britain. I mean, do you not see the connection there? And then again, what really gives them away is the FBI file. The FBI file say that he was connected to bin Laden. And bin Laden was connected to the CIA back in the 80s. In the 80s, bin Laden was with the CIA anyway.
During the administration.
Yes, during the Reagan administration. And that's when this man came here, during the Reagan administration. So the FBI file gave them up. So it's like, now we don't want to do, it's like, okay, so we're just going to hang tight right now because there's nothing more for us to do. Not really at this point. It's already clear that you all have admitted that this man worked for the State Department. Just like bin Laden was working for the State Department, this man was working for the State Department. Mubarak Jilani was working for the State Department. It's just a matter of the State Department accepting, coming out clean about it. But you knew about bin Laden, you knew about him too. You can't deny it because he was all over the news. I mean, he did what it is that you all wanted, but as usual, people get out of hand. And the time that you broke off with bin Laden is the same time that you broke off with him. Then you allow him to stay in Pakistan, right, without extraditing him back to the United States for the terrorist acts until 9/11. You staged the murder of Daniel Pearl when he was on his way to visit him, only to turn around and clear him for that. And you say that he had nothing to do with that. But the other atrocities on the U.S. and Canadian soil, you never extradited him. You went into Pakistan, Afghanistan, so many other Muslim countries, and you arrested 14, 15-year-old boys. You bombed a bunch of funerals and a bunch of wedding proceedings. But you did not pick this man up to bring him back to the United States when you say he was even connected to Sheikh Omar Abdurrahman, who you connected to the World Trading Centers. You have him connected all of these places, and all the while people are leaving the United States to go give him money in Pakistan. It sounds too close of a coincidence. I mean, it's a deal for a deal. I mean, that's what it sounds. I mean, do you remember the series 24?
Yes.
Okay. You remember everybody, who cooperated, all of a sudden they got asylum, right?
Jog my memory. I remember the series. That's been a while.
Okay, so they're supposed to be. This is the counter-terrorist unit, and they're fighting terrorism. So they're always investigating sleeper cells, right?
Okay.
But when they catch the sleeper cell, they would rather that sleeper cell lead them to another sleeper cell.
Okay.
Instead of killing them or doing anything else, they would rather that sleeper cell get them to whoever they worked for. So when they got higher, they would try to do the same until they got to more and more. That's how you uncover sleeper cells, right? I mean, it's like in The Art of War, where it talks about, when you catch a spy, you don't kill him or her, you don't prosecute, you don't even make it known, you just flip them. You make sure you get all the information out of them and put information into them that you want them to give to your enemy. I mean, it just seemed like this guy had. I mean, it was a beautiful setup. It was a beautiful setup. You're over there. You're able to direct some Muslims over here in America to do whatever it is that you say for them to do. African Americans for 30 years. Meanwhile, for the same crimes that you have been charged with, others with even less of those are sent to Guantanamo Bay. And on top of that, you continue to even get US dollars from US soil itself. All the while, you are exploiting and looking down on African Americans anyway. I mean, it's the thing, and then, the fact of, him passing on without, giving really, what the people were right to have. I mean, they should have had better than this. But, it's just a big, the magic, the sorcery, the spells, the hex that he's placed on the people is just so bad where you still are splitting up families, just like you were when you first came. So, I mean, whoever wants to stick with it, I mean, realize that there's only one day promised to us. Yesterday's gone. Today, it's gone too. You see how short the days are? It starts, and then before you know it, by 4 o'clock it's dark, 4:30 or whatever. I mean, days are getting shorter. You understand? And the only day that is really guaranteed to us is the day of judgment, the day of resurrection, the day of reckoning. I mean, you really think that day is not going to come? Then you stay doing what you're doing, and we're going to stay what we're doing. And may Allah Ta'ala enable us to see the truth for what it really is and support it, accept it, embrace it, and enable us to see the falsehood for what it really is, and be strong enough to reject it and to oppose it, and to call out those who are, trying to substantiate it. Absolutely. All right?
Yep.
So.
Yeah, I looked it up. You were correct. It was the Reagan administration, not Bush.
Definitely. I mean, the facts are there. We had the fact-finding mission. We had 21 years of probing these answers. We asked these questions, 22 years ago. In 2020, why can this man not come over here? Explain that one. And so many other, nobody wanted to come clean. But now, like you said, after his passing away, a lot of the truth comes clean, comes out. You understand? And it's clear. I mean, what else do you think that you're going to get out of believing that on the mountain you walked into the khalwa and had, witness? He hypnotized you up there, man. The reason why he took you out there was because it was easier for you to get hypnotized. The 70 men who went with him, and did not fall out. Listen, it was easy for you all to get hypnotized under those situations. And he was good with psychology, and so he hypnotized you all. He made you believe that, somebody from the dot had come to kill him. It was all staged, all of it. All of it was just staged. He staged the whole 9. He was reporting back to let people know that he really did fool you all, and you all were accepting him. And that's the only reason why they did not arrest him, because they knew he was misleading, African Americans in America. They used the racism against our own race, period.
Right.
They use that stuff, man. And the thing is, again, huh?
I remember watching our R2F show with Khalifa MJ. He stated that he and another brother had stayed up for like 6-7 days in a row, 8 days in a row.
Right. Staking somebody out to kill him.
They were trying to stake some. Oh, wow.
Yeah, I remember him saying that. But I mean, listen, if people do not want to accept the facts, that's not my problem. If people do not want to embrace the truth, that's not my problem. That's their problem. You want to live a lie, you want to cover up the facts, hey man, in fact, I'm going to tell you, more power to you, because there's no way you're going to cover up Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, man, and He is the truth. You think facts are facts because of the fact that, what, you want them that way? No. Or I want them that way? No. Facts are facts because Allah Jalla Jalaluhu made them facts, and you can't change them. So you're entitled to your own opinions, which are, again, based off of a bunch of delusions, clearly based off of hearsay. People trying to become, famous, like, I was possessed, so let me get a prescription from Shah Sahib. And here I am now, he knows my name, and he's written, I have a prescription from I'm now holy. All right, so, this is what you're dealing with. And listen, if people want to be in that darkness after they know the truth, man, that's really on them, man. That's their call, man. They should know their rights. Hey, man, we know our rights, okay? We have every right to convey the message, and once we do that, they have to come to terms about what it is that they're going to answer to Allah for accepting or denying it. That's not our job, really.
It's an unfortunate situation, man. All we can do is just move on and be productive from here on out, man, to the day Allah Ta'ala call us back, and just try to reinvent ourselves and from this foolishness, and elevate to another just elevate to another scale, instead of this foolishness.
Well, the only scale is the scale in the way of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's a very strange situation that majority, unfortunately, of people know yet refuse to act. They know that things are bad or things are wrong or the issues exist, but they simply do not have any desire, any inclination to do anything about it. And when they do realize that they can do something about it, they still are stubborn and refuse to even want to do anything about it. And the reason for that is because they've been living lives of disbelief, for lack of better terms. When you're living, you call yourself a Muslim. You cover, you pray your 5 times a day, you put your little bit of change in the zakah and sadaqah box the best you can. You're even thinking about going for Hajj, when Ramadan comes, you say you're going to fast and all that, right? So, yeah, so what exactly is that? If that's all there is to Islam, right, then I can understand why you would not know how to live day to day, like moment to moment with Islam. The only time you're practicing Islam is if you're praying, fasting, if you're giving zakah, or if you're thinking about going to Hajj. Does that make sense to you? You're supposed to be living Islam in your life, and the only time you actually live it is during those 5 things. Ramadan doesn't exist now. Hajj doesn't even exist now either. Right?
Right.
Okay. Your zakah is also like, you give a few dollars here and there, but, when it comes to the actual zakah, you don't bother to do anything with your wealth. So that's not even part of the zakah either. Now you're talking about the salah. Do you really know how to even recite properly your Fatiha? Not only that, but wait a second, do you know how to make wudu properly? A lot of people are living this way. They don't even know how to make the wudu, and they just go this way. They're just going. It's very different from living Islam. Islam is in everything that we do, From every moment that we have, to the next moment, from moment to moment, it's all Islam. But our children are learning from, the society that you see, because even those in Muslim countries, they're learning off of TV what the society is all about that you see. So then you understand that clearly, as long as we remain just looking on instead of plotting a change, preparing, you understand, for a resolution to the problem, then we're always going to keep, realizing a repetition in the cycle that we've been witnessing. You understand? Does that make sense?
I did watch the interview with you and Jamal Gunter. I did watch that, and that's a solid brother. And I seen back then, looking back in hindsight, he had a strong case in point in his stance. And I wish I would have caught that back then, or had opportunity to delve into a conversation with him. And after that interview, I had to actually take a break from listening to interviews. So I plan on listening to more. It's just that one hit home, when he was speaking, and that's a solid brother. He's an upright brother. And if you don't know, you can ask somebody. You can ask anybody.
Well, no, and now we know. If you didn't know, now you know. Okay, because the thing about it is, like you said, I mean, it was a very interesting interview. Unlike the normal conversations, I mean, I found it myself to be quite an eye-opening. And I can understand you saying, like, after that interview, you said to yourself, like, it's time for a break from interviews.
He went in, because he went in.
Oh no, I mean it's clear as daylight. But look at this. He's been in the Jamaat from the age of 9, 10 years old, right?
Right.
But everything that is being brought to his attention about his sheikh not being able to recite Holy Quran, therefore not being able to speak enough to explain it. Also the fact that he did not have the credentials of the Sufi Tariqa Qadri order specifically, or the fact that he was not a muhaddith. He's not disputing any of that. He's not refuting any of that. He's not even refuting the fact that he was working for the intelligence community. He was not even refuting that. He says, it would not surprise me because of the events that took place in the past 10 years. What is that supposed to mean? So these are the type of things I'm like, when is it that people, want to do what it is that they're going to do, that they really need to do in order to stand in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, on the day of judgment without having, shirk and whatnot, falsehood on their end. But hey, listen, you have to let the people be the people, and you just keep your relationship with Allah, and you work on yourself to the extent in which He has enabled us to do. That's it. You understand?
Right.
Inshallah. So we're gonna get caught up, inshallah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna check out those videos on the way home.